Hey guys, today we're going to answer the question, are Surging Sparks booster boxes really worth 145 a piece? Let's figure it out. Hey guys, so we're going to talk about, are Surging Sparks booster boxes actually worth $145? So to talk about this, I put together a little thought experiment. And what got me thinking about this idea was I was watching a PokeTuber's video recently, and he was talking about how he had pre-sold a whole bunch of Surging Sparks booster boxes. I don't remember exactly how many, at around $110 per booster box. And now the current market price is like $145 or even greater. And so he was talking about how he had a huge lost opportunity where he could have been making more on those booster boxes. And that got to me thinking about how the prices of these booster boxes move and if he really did lose out on any money or not. So I put together this very simple example that represents the Pokemon economy for the pre-order of Surging Sparks booster boxes. So let's pretend for a second here that the Pokemon Company is making 1,000 Surging Sparks booster boxes available to the market for pre-order. Now, in reality, this number would be much, much higher, but we're going to deal with small numbers that we can easily understand. Let's say they give their first distributor A, 600 boxes, and they give their second distributor B, 400 boxes. Those guys are then going to make available to a variety of local game stores, big box retailers, online retailers. They're going to make a certain amount of boxes available to each one for pre-order, right? So these get distributed, and some guys are going to get a small amount, some guys are going to get a large amount. Well, what happens is when these 1,000 go live, let's say they go live for $100. Maybe 600 of them sell in like the first, few weeks. Well, all of a sudden, a lot of these, companies that are selling booster boxes, these local game stores, these online retailers, they start to look, they say, well, these are selling pretty well. People seem to be talking about this set. There's a lot of hype for it. There seems to be a lot of interest for it. Let's go ahead and raise the price to $110. So that's what they do here. They raise it to $110. And at this point, there's only 400 left on the market. Well, another 200 sell. And they're like, okay, I guess we'll raise the price again. They're still selling at 110, and our supply that we have available, our inventory is dwindling down. So let's go ahead and raise it to 125. Well, next thing you know, 100 sell just like that at 125, and now we're down to 100 left on the entire market, and they're 145 a box. Well, what happened? I think a great way to explain this is to look at this TCG player chart over here on the right. This is the price of the Surging Sparks booster box according to TCG player. And the light blue lines show the volume of sales. This is really interesting. When these things came out the gate, there were actually vendors on TCG player trying to get close to $150 or somewhere in that 140 to 150 neighborhood. And very few of the boxes sold. Right? You can see that down here, the volume of sales was really low. It wasn't until these prices dropped way lower down into like the 115 range on TCG player that the volume started to increase. Now I will note you could get these boxes for about 100 or less than 100 on a lot of websites online. It was not very hard to find them for around $100 for a good chunk of time online. And that's because that's been kind of the typical market price the past year for a booster box. A lot of them have been $100 or less for pre-order or even right after release. And so until those prices kind of hit that 100, 110, 115 point, people weren't really pre-ordering a lot. And you'll notice that the volume picks up here. And next thing you know, the price is jumping up to 120 and 130. And look how steep this line gets with the volume of sales also going up really quickly, right? So as people are buying more, the price is going up more, and people are buying more and the price is going up more, and it's this self-fulfilling loop. And so what you end up with is that you end up with this supply that is just getting squeezed and diminishing, and stores are increasing the price with the remaining stock that they have left. And on top of that, people are freaking out. They're afraid that they're going to miss out. They're noticing that the price is going up quickly, which makes them freak out even more, and they buy even more. This is actually a pretty common macroeconomic concept. And essentially what you see here with this massive volume is this is the velocity. And it's the idea too that greater velocity of money increases inflation. And so you'll hear this about with a lot of economists where they'll talk about, if people are spending a lot, that also tends to put upward pressure on inflation. And you're seeing that exact same thing here in the Pokemon market with this booster box. As people are spending more, as the price is going up more, people are freaking out even more, and it's creating an even faster upward pressure. Now you can see here at the very top, it starts to kind of level off. And so eventually you hit a point where people say, nah, that's okay. I'll wait. I'll wait for Pokemon to reprint. I'll wait for Pokemon to release more. The set hasn't even come out yet. But the point is still remains is that this type of spike, we see a lot in collectibles, and we definitely see it here because of that sort of hype cycle. But notice all of this came from the booster prices, the booster box prices being low, right? If they hadn't been down here at this low point, we might not have seen this spike. And so this PokeTuber who is saying that he lost out on a lot of money, if he had known what the market would do and he had waited to put up any of his product for pre-order, then yes, he could have waited and gotten 140 for all of his at this point. But it was the fact that everybody put up their product for a cheaper amount, and the supply got eaten up so quickly, and the hype was created, and the psychology set in, and the fear of missing out jumped in. That's actually what made it possible for booster boxes to be 145 now. So I don't actually believe that every booster box out there is worth 145. It's what's left on the market is worth 145. So I've probably talked about this a little bit too much. I think I've driven my point home, but all that to say is that keep supply and demand in mind when you're buying things. When you see sharp spikes like this, might not be a great time to buy. It's probably a good time to just wait, let the market cool off, let the frenzy die down, and then kind of come back in. And I don't think that all of the Surging Sparks booster boxes that have ever been released for pre-order would have gotten $145 per box. I just don't. I think that what we have is that the remaining supply is now being valued at 145 or right around there. I'm using rough numbers. But anyway, keep that in mind when you're buying stuff. Be a little careful. A great example of a product that recently spiked up is the Charizard SIR from Pokemon 151. That thing has been on an absolute tear. And I think it's probably a really good time to not buy that card if you're looking at it, because it is pretty crazy right now. In fact, I'm going to pull it up here for you to look at it. If we look at price charting here, the PSA 10 has suddenly, now this is behind actually, because I've seen several of these sell recently for $700. Right. So if you see small little movements in the market like this, not too big of a deal, but when you see a sudden rise like this, you need to be careful. It's probably kind of a creepy time to be buying the Charizard. It may continue to go up a little bit. But, and again, these are not reporting the most recent. This is always behind. I guess this shows 211 too, but I know I've looked on eBay and I've seen recent sales at 700. But bottom line, be careful when the market does this. When you see people being overzealous and too much hype, let things cool down, buy later. And so if you missed out on Surging Sparks, that's okay. I think there will be other opportunities. I really do. I think Pokemon will print this more, but keep that in mind going forward. Don't freak out. And thanks for tuning in. If you liked what you heard, give me a like. I'd really appreciate it. Maybe leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you disagree. Maybe you think that all of my concepts rubbish. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And, I'd love your subscription too if you want to subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.